Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Flyer Sports. I'm Joe Sullivan.
I'm Sean Vitalis.
On this episode, we'll be discussing the women's volleyball team and their red-hot start to the season. The Flyers are ranked number 23 in the nation. They sport an 11-2 record and currently on a roll with 6 straight wins.
The Flyers' last loss was against the then-ranked number 2 Louisville Cardinals. The Flyers pushed the Cards to the deciding set, but were unable to get the win, losing in 5. Here's what the Flyers setter, Alyssa Miller, had to say about the game.
Honestly, I think it was just a level of competitiveness. They are number 2 in the nation, but they're just a bunch of college girls just like us. They're not invincible, and they're playing just like we are. And I think that we realize that we can play with them, Just because they're number 2 does not mean anything to us.
Even in a loss, the Flyers showed what they are all about.
Lexi Almodovar led the Flyers in points that night with 26. Here's what she had to say after the loss.
Louisville's a really good team, and I think games like these allow us to kind of compare ourselves to the best in the country. And so we always talk about playing at the same level no matter who we play. So if we can play like that against the number 2 team in the country, then we can take that to our conference and just kick.
Yeah, definitely going off of that, being able to compete with that number 2 team, how does that change your confidence for your season and the rest of the year?
It definitely gives us a lot of confidence. I know for me individually, I feel really good playing with this group. I feel really comfortable playing with this group. And I think we've worked really hard in the offseason and in the summer to get where we are now. So I'm really excited.
Flyers started the streak with their dominant home performances at the Dayton Invitational. There, they grabbed a hard-fought 5-set win against UIC. They followed that up with 2 comfortable sweeps over Ball State and Wright State.
The Flyers didn't drop the dominant form as they went down to the University of Northern Iowa and didn't drop a single set. With sweeps over Northern Illinois, Northern Iowa, and North Dakota, the Flyers finished their non-conference schedule in an impressive fashion. They now march confidently into conference play as they look to regain that elusive A10 title that Loyola stole from them last year.
6 sets and 6 wins for the Dayton Flyers this past weekend, and their first time on the road throughout this year. Obviously, they had 3 invitationals and classics at the Frerichs Center for Dayton, and they dominated. Only had that tough loss to Marquette in their invitationals, and obviously that non-conference game in the middle of the week to now number 3, the Louisville Cardinals. But this past weekend, they were unbelievable.
No, absolutely, Joe. I think you said that well. The Flyers, really just dominated all of their invitational play. I think that's something that they do a little bit different than other, athletic programs here at UD. Really relying on those invitationals and tournament play early in the season for that non-conference schedule. They've only had a handful of just one-on-one competition as far as non-conference goes, and now looking forward into conference play. I think that the Flyers have really set themselves up well. You've got to win a lot, especially for their rankings in the A10. Got to perform really well. In non-conference, there are only 2 losses coming against ranked opponents. Number 12 at the time, Marquette. They've since fallen out of the rankings. And then the Louisville Cardinals, at the time, number 2, both of those 5-set losses. They really pushed both of those programs. And, obviously you never want to lose. We'd love to be undefeated on the season. But I think if there was any 2 games to drop on their schedule so far, those would be the 2 that you'd be happy to do so.
Absolutely. And really their only scare after that Louisville game was UIC. They were up 2 sets early in that one. UIC made it a ball game. The Dayton Flyers 1 in 5, and they've been fantastic so far this year. Just swept this past weekend and got a lot to look forward to in conference play as they'll take on their first conference opponent, the Loyola Ramblers, this weekend.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting for the Flyers to take on the Ramblers really early this season. That was the A10 championship matchup that we saw a year ago. Loyola hopping into the A10 last year came in and took that title that Dayton's been pretty familiar with over the last decade or so. And really, honestly, as long as Coach Hormsman's been around, the Flyers have been on top. And I think that's continued. We've had multiple Player of the Weeks, Defensive Player of the Week for the Flyers. Carissa Kaminsky being named co-player of the week, and then Elena Yates taking defensive player of the week this time around. And I think that the Flyers just continue to rack those in, as we really change how the team looks. Kaminsky last year a DS and serving specialist, now moving into the full-time libero role. As we've seen some Flyers graduate or step away from the team, and Elena Yates really functioning as one of the primary middles. We've also seen Liana Sarkisian step in on the right side. A lot of new faces for this team, but the dominant play sticking with them.
Yeah, and a lot of depth in the squad. I mean, we talk about the success for Coach Orsman in his squad this year. You got to talk about Kaminsky and Yates, obviously winning weekly awards this past week in the A10. But they got a big test against the Ramblers. And again, Loyola, preseason picked number 1 after winning the A10 championship last year. Their first time in the league. Dayton obviously had a tough start to that year last year, came back and really battled, unable to win the A10 championship. They want to fix things now and obviously get out to a good start in the A10 against Loyola. Well, that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Flyer Sports here on Flyer TV. I'm Joe Sullivan.
I'm Sean Vitalis.
And we'll see you next time.